Hello and welcome to Robbie and James Talk Music, the podcast where Robbie and James talk music. We're your hosts, Robbie Maxted, a creative writing professor.
And I'm James Wicks, a professor of media and film studies.
This week's episode is a concert episode where we focus on an artist and a show that one of us attended. In this case, we both attended this show, which was a blast. We went and saw Penny and Sparrow together on October 8th, 2025 at Music Box San Diego.
Yeah, it was an awesome show, Robbie. I can't wait to get into this, but I do have a little bomb to drop here at the beginning of the episode, and it's going to correlate with some content that I'm going to bring a little bit later as well. But I just want to say, while everyone's zigging, I'm zagging. I like the new Taylor Swift record, and I just have to admit this to you right now.
I am not surprised at all, James.
How does that make you feel right now, Robbie?
I respect you as a person and respect mostly your musical choices. But in this case, I just am like, yeah, James is going to like anything that she puts out. It could be like the worst thing, such as this album.
Right.
And then you're just going to be like, it's amazing. I love it. Yeah.
Are you horrified?
No, I'm not. It tracks completely. It's like the one space that I've created for like you to have exceptions that I am just like, yeah, that tracks. I'm not going to criticize. That's just who he is.
Fantastic.
What he likes.
So the fact that it didn't horrify you might not totally overlap with the content I'm bringing later, but yeah, thanks for the fun of this intro here. I guess I'm kicking us off. It was a fantastic show. I loved seeing Penny and Sparrow, and I'll be playing a song that I really enjoyed hearing live, which is entitled Jeopardy.
When I wake up, you're gone. Your side is warm, so it ain't been long. I can hear you out there. You're looking for the keys in your underwear.
I love this track, James. Especially interesting to me is how it starts in a dream and then it pivots to reality partway through the song, which is just kind of unique, I think. What drew you to this one of all the songs that they played at the concert?
You had recommended Penny and Sparrow a number of times, and I am not always that keen on listening to singer-songwriter style music,
yeah.
and I just couldn't get into it. But when you invited me to the show, I knew I would love it. I know you have fantastic taste, and I love live music. I was so enthralled by their entertainment style, and the show was phenomenal. I loved the harmonies in the moment, the psychological insights seemed to resonate a lot more than when I was listening to it through my headphones or through a soundbar at home. It's contemplative, and again, it came all the way back around to in between songs. They were so funny, they were so engaging, entertaining, and then they would head right back into these songs that were really, in some ways, transcendent in the way that they could reach relatable idea with emotional impact.
Yeah, I think I consistently tell people it's like the best performance live I've ever experienced. Every concert I've been, this was my third show that I've seen Penny and Sparrow live. And yeah, you're right. There's that mix of humor in between tracks and then just amazing vocals live.
Yeah, and I like so many different types of production shifts typically when I see a show, not necessarily in terms of a light show and fireworks and stuff, but I just tend to like music that'll have a really slow number and then a ballad and there'll be something really fast, and it's the variety of sounds that attracts me. And in this case, I would say the sound in many ways is consistent all the way through the show. And yet each time they launched into a new number, I was right there, didn't want to be anywhere else. It was really, really cool experience to be taken away in that moment.
Yeah, I think launched is a great word because the vocals are just so powerful when they perform live.
Yeah, for sure.
Even if a song is more toned back or quieter, just still amazing vocals.
Yeah, for sure. The way it pierced me, it pierced my spirit in a way that was really indescribable. Was a cool experience to have. And, as we've gone through this podcast, we talk about our respective disciplines. And so I was trying to think about a film analogy. And I would say, just as you have to see it live, similarly, this is my relationship with horror film. And whenever I have a horror film that's recommended to me, it usually takes me like 9 months before I'll actually watch it because unlike an action film or drama, which I'll be like, okay, and I'll watch it that night. Horror film, just due to the suspense and the atmosphere and tension, I just tend to wait. I have like a 9-month waiting period. Some of the films on my list right now include Black Phone, The Substance, Long Legs, Dr. Sleep. These are all films that have been recommended to me that I know I'll love, but they're in the waiting period.
Sure.
And I have to wait until I get enough, courage to overcome primal fears and the gore. And then I love it. And then every time I watch it, I'm like, why did I wait that long? It's never that bad, but I just have it hyped up. And then it just takes the live experience, though, to actually get me.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite horror film?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I have a kind of a handful here right now. I really love the X, Pearl, and Maxine trilogy.
Okay.
That's been a recent favorite. Of course, I love Get Out.
Sure.
Some of the more classic ones, I'd say like The Shining, Rosemary's Baby, and I love the 28 Days Later series as well. Okay. So it's a genre I love, just like I love singer-songwriter, but for some reason there's this critical distance between me and the object. But whenever it's overcome, like the Penny and Sparrow show, they gained a new fan in me that day as well.
Amazing. That was the goal. I knew you'd love it.
You were right. You were right.
If you saw him live. For listeners who are interested, I tried to recreate in a playlist that will link the set list for the show so you can hear the songs that they performed. I couldn't find it anywhere on live, so I had to like Instagram stalk people who posted things live to try to figure out exactly which songs were there because I couldn't remember all of them. So I think I got pretty close.
Nice detective work.
All of them.
Yeah, nice detective work there, Robbie. Hey, what song do you have for us next?
Yeah, I'm going to play Cheers to Good Friends, which the version that we heard was even more upticking the falsetto aspect of this song, but I think this one is just a beautiful track.
Robbie, I'm super grateful you chose this specific track. It really encapsulates the oral experience that I had at the show. And yeah, I just want to turn this back to you and find out your relationship with this band. What is it that, unlike me, just grabs you? I always think that you're somehow in the center of this music, regardless of whether you're listening to it on Spotify or at the show. So yeah, how does this band resonate with you?
Yeah, I just love the sound. I mean, it's pretty in keeping with a lot of the music I listen to. Obviously love Bon Iver, and I think there's a similarity there. Sufjan Stevens, like similar sound, where the vocals are just so crisp and clean and gorgeous. But what I love especially about them is the harmony that they have. It's a duo, Andy Baxter and Kyle Jonke. They formed in 2011. Their first song is still one of my favorites. I think it was the first song I heard of them, which is Creature. It came out in 2011. And I think I probably heard about them first in like 2012, 2013, somewhere in there. Their first album came out in 2013. But yeah, just the sound is what draws me to it and brings me back to their music. I love every single album they've put out.
I remember one of our early music conversations before we were even friends. You recommended it to me, and I was like, "Oh, I'll have to go check this out." And then you probably noticed I didn't mention it again for a while. But I think that it's just a cool way of getting to know you, and it's a good way of getting to know friends in general when you can talk about art and what you agree and disagree on. And in addition to those musical components, what is it about the feeling of the songwriting and the soundscape that gets you?
Yeah, I think lyric-wise, the lyrics often have a story, which I gravitate towards. And then, as I said earlier, that harmony that Andy and Kyle create is just, I don't know, it kind of guts you, I think. And when you experience it live, I think it's even more potent. So yeah, and I think harmony is kind of that central idea I think of with this group. And it connects to the essay I wanted to talk about today, which is Jill Chrisman's The Avocado. It came out in Fourth Genre, which is a really good nonfiction journal. And this is an essay that I have loved for many years. I think it's like top 20 all-time essays in my view. Essentially, Chrisman is telling the story of living abroad after her fiance has died in a car wreck. So just real tragic, grappling with what it means to lose somebody that you think you're going to live the rest of your life with. And then it also looks ahead to pregnancy later in life. And then there's a volcano as well in the place that she's traveled. Essentially, it's a braided essay, which in nonfiction is a cool way of taking different narratives and then working them all together into one story. And I think as I was thinking about Penny and Sparrow and what I like, just thinking about how in essay writing, I love essays that are able to create that harmony, but in a narrative way as opposed to a sound way.
I think that's so cool to hear. That was going to be my question, and you've already answered it. I've typically thought of that braided relationship occurring between reader and text. The reader may have an entirely oppositional reading to the text than intended. For example, in mainland Chinese propaganda films of the 60s and 70s, there's this idea in the West that audiences would just go to the theater and then return home to their respective places, just being totally adoring of Mao Zedong and all of this, of these kind of mainland Chinese politics. And the opposite occurred. There's narrative after narrative of filmgoers going to the theater and then just dying laughing at these propaganda films. So the idea that everyone just watches them and turns into clones is totally absurd. But in any case, this is a harmony, so to speak, or maybe a contrapuntal relationship between the audience and text. And so I was wondering, that's one way of reading in opposition and getting multiple narratives occurring with the same narrative thread, right?
Sure.
But in your case, I love how you're talking about within the text itself, it has those multiple braids. I think in film we would call them narrative programs.
Okay.
And the way that they overlap and link together is really fascinating. And I hadn't heard that term, braided essay, before, so that's really cool.
Yeah, and I think what I love about the way that Crispin does this is the images all merge together in the end. So
cool.
It becomes this like enmeshed knot by the end of the essay, where it's like the avocado parallels a pregnant body, which parallels a volcano. So yeah, it's just an unreal essay in regard to the images and how the images come together in the end.
And that idea of being unreal correlates with Penny and Sparrow's music as well, which I think is a really cool concept that you've brought to us as well via the essay form.
Cool. Yeah, I think the quality of their live performance, I think, is that unreal component too.
Yeah.
Like it just is something you have to experience live. So
yes, absolutely.
Everyone should check them out.
Absolutely.
See them the next time they're in your area.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks so much, Robbie.
Yep. Thanks to our producer, Danny Martinez, as always. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.